The boat comes to a slow stop. The lieutenant turns the engine off. Then there's silence. In the silence, a sputter of wings. A flock of quails takes off in the distance.
Let's go.
The chain trails off into the ocean, connecting the island to the supply depot on the coast.
Ah, yes, so it seems. For bringing munitions to the island, maybe? And supplies? You could also lock the bay when you raise the chain. From enemies. Enemies of the commune of Revachol. This sea fort was a revolutionary fortification, I believe.
The dry grass crackles under your feet as you stop. Far away, birds' wings touch the still surface of the sea. The flock of quail departs, now more than 100 meters away, 102, 105. On the islet, there is almost no wind, just snow quietly falling on the reeds, bulrushes swaying on the waterline, long dried leaves chafing against each other. A silent hiss, sea air moving through the needles of a pine tree. The faraway roar of the city, distant like today's dream. Before it, the sound of sand, the low tide filtered through its grains, a bird tending to its feathers. Snow falls on the water, melting away without even a whisper. A low hum. The air slowly moves through a concrete box, through its ancient slits and cracks, resonating, hollow, a big building. Air flows out of a pillbox window. There is very little there. The air cossets flowers on a meadow. Absolute silence. Reeds motionless. Bulrushes motionless. A flake of snow falls on an extinguished campfire. Hiss. A jitter. A sound impatient to happen, but not yet in this world. You hear some kind of limb fidget, producing an imperceptible tick.
Yes?
Momentarily, the sounds are swept away. Pain shoots up your right foot, and
It is. Is that why we are stopping?
The lieutenant nods. An old cylindrical generator is nested above the ammo lift, with makeshift electrical wiring running out of its side and across the floor. The cables disappear into the wall to your right. The lieutenant puts his hand on the metal barrel, checking for warmth.
It's cold now, but someone has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired. Downstairs, somewhere? Liquid carbon. I would imagine it takes mazout. The kind that's favored by vagrants and fuel thieves. It's been a long winter, long and cold.
If anyone stayed here, they'd need a generator. A hollow ring, the canister is empty. Dust falls from the generator and down into the ammo lift.
I don't know. I'm not a philosopher. Someone with basic electrical skills has restored it in order to keep the room warm. Maybe it's the fire guy.
The wind outside picks up suddenly, with a faint howl. Inside, it's warm. Books and magazines lie scattered on the floor and on a makeshift cupboard. They are not particularly well organized. Most are soft covers, serialized fantastique and detective stories from the 20s and 30s. This disparate digest includes the classic Animal Adventures. Among what is mostly commercial fiction and serialized stories, you find a magazine cathodique for electrical engineering. Then it's back to pulp. Light erotica, an international thriller about circuit benders.
Someone's made themselves a home.
Not that you can tell. This is a digest of someone who's dead bored. Most of it is for entertainment purposes, fittingly right next to the radiola on the floor. Maybe it's a little old-fashioned. There's a nude mag. More than that, you can't say. There's a greasy old spring mattress in the corner, resting on piles of soft cover books. White linen and a pillow are visible under a worn-out caracal blanket.
Someone has been squatting here. The linen is fresh, recently washed.
You force the rest of the sentence out through pain, thick as molasses, no longer able to hear yourself speak.
You know, officer, you can rest here if you are feeling tired. I will keep watch. You could use some rest for what's ahead.
You face the concrete wall. There's less light there, in the dark corner. Like a dog, you lie there. The blanket feels cold. The entire room does. Concrete and cold. Minutes pass. Half an hour, maybe. The sounds of the sea beyond grow distant. Your eyelids close until you feel yourself standing up in the darkness, right next to the mattress. Slowly, the world begins to hatch from the blackness. It's evening. Sleep. Dolores Day, the innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state turns around to face you. She has an airship airbag in her hand. She seems to be in a hurry. Okay, don't say you need to talk right away. Melt the ice first. This way you're already talking. But you don't even want to talk to her. She would only be cold and mean. Let her go.
Hey. I'm doing really good, actually. Both professionally and romantically. I've come to a fulfilling and peaceful period in my life. Well, Howie, don't say that. I know this positive thing sounds stupid to you, Harry, but it works. We all have an obligation to be happy. You too. And you will be. Now.
This is everything I always warned you about.
I'm sorry. I was heading to the aerodrome. I just don't have time to...
She means she doesn't have time to tend to your emotions. She sighs and looks over her shoulder. What are you doing? Stop saying things like that.
I'm going to Morova. To live there, in Grad. That's 1,000,000 kilometers away, Harry. Might as well be another lifetime. Just my scepter, my globe cruciger, a spare silk gown, a toothbrush, travel documents, the crown of immortality. Oh, this. This is just a wreath. The crown of immortality is made of rarefied light, mana and raw palladium. It was passed on to me by the rulers of late antiquity.
She looks at the suitcase, not knowing what more to say, then over her shoulder.
Anyway. No, Harry. No. I don't want a massive, epic showdown. I want to go to the aerodrome. I have tickets for the 10:20 flight to Morova. Really, we don't have anything to talk about anymore. Every combination of words has been played out. The atoms don't form us anymore. Us. Our love. Our unborn daughters. It's all gone. I have to go to the aerodrome. I have to leave Revachol and you. And you have to be alone. In hell. Forever. That's just the way it is.
Oh God, whatever you do, don't try to kiss her yet. Not after that. You're still reeling. You'll fall over if you try now.
That sounds nice, Harry, but I really don't want to argue about ideology with you right now.
This won't be an argument. It will be emotional and true.
There was a time I would have loved to hear about them. I would have hung on every word. I would have made you feel smart, just, hopeful. But now is not that time. Now we are in hell, and in hell, there is only the aerodrome. And boring disagreement.
Hear that? That's the sound of meaninglessness. Meaning, ideas, theory, all that has evaporated. Now, there is only dry silence. The sound of a mind made up. Just like 4 billion others. I am so sorry. With your feet trembling from the step, she is not kissing you back. Her hand, distrust. For you. The curve of her chest, hidden, feels like this was not about a delicate wreath. Nothing, just apricot. The moment is ending. She is going to move her face away from yours. Trying hard. Brother, you should put me in front of a firing squad. I have no words for how I failed you.
No, I'm just Dora. No, Harry, not yet. There is one more thing you have to see. I'm pregnant. You know what this means. Of course not. I terminated yours. Don't you remember? You poor fuck. Now, go ahead. Ask me more.
No, this has more questions. Ask more.
It's not. But that's it, yeah?
Where? Stop. You're only making it worse for him. You never help with anything.
See? But I can't.
She keeps her shoulders squared and her back straight, but it's clear you're still making her sad.
No, Harry, we already tried.
Is that how it is now? Not you too.
I don't know. Please. I can't answer your other question.
No, don't say.
I have to.
I was wrong.
No, I won't see. Oh, Harry, right here. I'm Oh, yeah. See you tomorrow.
You're up quick. How was your sleep? Are you sure you're okay? You thrashed around and you bolted up, halfway covered in blood from your wounds. Of course, I was just thinking maybe you've torn your stitches. Are you ready to move on? Okay.
He's still worried. You must have really thrashed. You see a small metal...
Maybe this is one of the doors.
He's right. It would be better to open its big brother. A powerful engine hangs under the ceiling.
I retract my statement. It was naive. Let's look around and get another part.
Green paint flecks off the keys.
The console of an anti-computation device. The generator, possibly.
This device was used to control the...
We should look around, but officer.
The console stands by. Nothing happened. The dial.
Insular.
There's a rain-soaked mattress on a concrete slab, only half covered by the crumbling roof. At the head of it, double embrasures, firing slits like two eyes.
This looks like a good place to aim from.
A single-person mattress, modern, civilian use. Brand name, Marjorie. There's a fuel stain on the cover, along with cigarette burns, and an empty can of beans on the ground next to it, filled to the brim with cigarette butts. The silhouette of a tobacco picker adorns the paper filter. The brand, Tio Morteri.
Could be a coincidence. Or the same person has visited Land's End and here. I didn't see any signs of smoking inside though. If people live there, they keep it tidy. This here may also be a smoking spot.
There's a firing slit in the wall in front of you, like a little window. Quite old and grimy from years without cleaning by anything other than the rain. The springs screech as you lean on the mattress and crane your neck to look out. Trepidation, a tingling feeling in your stomach. A small piece of Martinez coastline opens up in the square in front of you, like a tiny landscape painting. 1 kilometer across the water, the ruins look familiar. A towering skyscraper, its top floors shaved off by artillery fire. Capeside apartments. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A. and 33B. The red chimney and collapsed back of the 4-story tenement in front of the Whirling in Rags, Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 10, the doomed commercial area. The box-shaped silhouette of the Whirling in Rags. Its sloped roof, a tiny fleck of light catches your eye on the rooftop. Sunlight.
Do you have a line of sight to the window?
More than that.
A pair of binoculars? Or a scope of a rifle? You'd be prone, lying on a mattress, barrel resting on the embrasure.
Cheek against the cheek rest, hand on the hair trigger.
I think we have it. The origin of the shot. This is the sniper's nest. Why? We don't go everywhere in the 1,000-meter radius of the crime scene. That's not procedure.
He looks north, over the fortification, then at the mattress. He's conflicted for a second. There's guilt there. It takes him a moment to rationalize it away.
Where?
He does not answer, just nods. With his back hunched, he looks around once more and says,
We should move now.
A strange feeling, looking at the water. Maybe you should just wander off into the sea. In the still mirror of the bay, you see Martinez, reflected. Tall edifices of ruins reach into the water, like shimmering towers. And the shacks too. Pine trees and motor lorries, upside down. Islets and posts, like stepping stones, lead into the water in front of you. Go, step in. Perhaps there's someone there, smelling of tutti frutti and betrayal. Maybe you know it's going to hurt. Yes, cold. Oh fuck, yes. No. This old cylindrical jet. The lieutenant assists. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder and a start rope on the other side. The lieutenant flicks the switch. The recoil start wakes the old generator up. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle.
That should do it.
A dim golden glow animates the console. Faint, like a ghost light. Urgence ouvert reads one dial.
It's on. Turn
Automatic, but the blast door opens with a series of clicks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in.
So did I. Not back there, but I felt it since we came here. I don't know. Don't worry. I have a gun.
An old man wearing tracksuit trousers leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours, unclouded by cataracts. His eyesight is sharp. He's practically tearing up from spite. Hatred got the best of him a long time ago. This man hates everything.
My eyesight? Yes. Helps me see all the shit. The what now? I can't hear you. I may have. All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around, trying to give up the position.
The position sounds like a hiding place.
Fire guy. Regressive bourgeoisie henchman. Can't even talk like a grown-up. I did. And you opened it. Reactionary rock and roll music. Playing on the water.
Told you we shouldn't play sad FM. I did.
We have entered a world where he said you shouldn't. It is the only world.
Sad FM, huh? I always hated that station. Phlegmatic, counter-revolutionary dirges. Sadness is a mental illness. A weapon of the bourgeoisie. The fascists were right about rock and roll. It is degenerate. Hip gyrating, mental illness music. It's not nice. It's a piece of shit. But it gets the job done. It's a Triangong 446.
A Samaran rifle. How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Sinyao commune. Military aid.
It has stayed true to him. He can still make it sing.
You heard me. It's good now. Like chalk wiped from the board. Yes, I bet you've killed a lot of people with it. You fascist fuck. Have you come to make me one of them?
We have come to ask you questions, nothing more. If you do not comply, we will take you in. Do you understand?
The lieutenant pulls his pistol from the holster.
You are a glorified night watchman. This is a service rifle. I can only lay it down before an enemy commander of corresponding rank.
The words, "I am an enemy commander," sound cold as iron from your lungs. The old man still hugs his gun.
And what rank would that be, dog? A big wheel of the 4th Regiment of the Pederast Army. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
Like an amputated limb in the sand. His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stocked and patched in places with tape and wire. Still warm from his parched hands. Not the metal. The metal is ice cold. This weapon has been modified several times. The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. On the butt, you see Vespertine writing, burnt into the wood. Triangon, 4.46mm. Made in Sinyao.
No one said it has to be a Belmagrave. We were just guessing.
From ballistics, it could easily have been a Triangle, too.
It doesn't matter if it was made in Shanti Shanti. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition. The right type and the right calibre.
He's liking this.
I wonder how old it is.
The old man does not answer. The old man keeps following your motion with his gaze. Some kind of involuntary response. Something is slightly off with his motorics. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It could be used against him to get a confession. In time.
My name is Josef Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol. I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender.
The Commune of Revachol? Do you mean the ICM? Your holdover from the...
From the Insulindian Citizens Militia, the army of the revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in '07, trained in the École de Contrôle Orient, and consigned to emergency defense duties in '08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the Commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties. 43 years. No. I've been on other islands too. I was an Resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18. Then I was an E48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago. 43 years and 10 months. It's not how a human being should live. But I had to. I couldn't just forget. I couldn't just forget what I saw.
He just couldn't. He nods. But he can now.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Hiding, fishing, waiting.
2 police officers step out of the Whirling in Rags cafeteria. Satellite officer Jean-Vic Mayer inspects a series of burnt black letters splashed across the plaza mosaic. Patrol officer Judith Minot points west. The fishing village. She glances at her watch. We meet in 15 minutes. It's a 10-minute walk. The officers go, leaving behind the writing, still smoldering. One day, it says, I will return to your side.
Always waiting. For her to return.
Her who?
Girl child. Revolution. A waste. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind and themselves. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do.
What has he done? Perhaps a confession would lighten the load.
Yes, what? To get things going again? Fan the flame?
There is no flame to fan. There is nothing left of the world, of our dreams. I was just 16 years old, 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. And of courage, too. You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took for reaction to take hold. Petty bourgeois terror. It's in all men. You haven't seen it. The face of who you serve, naked. It's impossible not to be afraid.
And this was when?
May the 13th, '08, 44 years ago. The horizon was black with Coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds. Storm clouds. When they started shelling, it was dark magic. The combined might of international capital. All at once, all the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. It lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the Flak Tower. Huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in Ozon, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going to the map room.
A terrible shame, still within him. The lobes of his ears are red with it. The shame and smallness of what he became.
Nah. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland. In the bunkers there, like the weakest of the weak. A mouse, frightened at the ordnance all night, and the sound of the rotors in the morning, whirring. Airships. I climbed out into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. The fortress was half submerged too. Shattered. They'd all drowned in the lower levels, or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality. The mask of humanity fall from capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone, everything you love. All the hope and tenderness in the world. It has to take it off just for 1 second to do the deed. And then you see it, as it strangles and beats your friends to death. The sweetest, most courageous people in the world. You see the fear and power in its eyes. Then you know that the bourgeois are not human. I had to fight it. I had to never stop. It's not an island, Dwat. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol. And I am its last surviving defender. The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it in '02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing. Against the whole world. coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. I later found out on the radio they called it Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Caillou alone. Iblis.
He nods.
How does anyone survive? I steal.
Now hold on there.
You're insane and grotesque. Everyone steals. Vegetables, supplies. It's the life of a dog.
How is your health, Mr. Dross?
I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot. Been passing it in stool, too.
The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over.
I need to die. You don't have medical facilities? I have been running out of that stuff. I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of... I don't even know what. Inferno? At least you know it. The traders of this city turned the lights back on in the 30s, after the fighting stopped. Ruins, glittering in the dark like a fucking merry-go-round. It's disgusting.
Are they not heartbroken? How could they have moved on?
It was hard in the Thames. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. Floodlights on the water at night.
There were posters, campaigns.
We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Cold City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Forburg, even Coron, and Boogie Street, of course. Those fucking kips had Marsov coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol was still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. Soon they all went silent. The frequencies dead. At night, I used a dinghy. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot, the commons too. They'd started snitching.
In the city, you move underground?
From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted. I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs, rabbits, and dogs. Men without ideals are only animals.
He does not want to see life moving on. People.
So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Belmer Graves, right? I know.
So you've been there?
Sleeping. Some nights. Ammo scrounging on others. Those McGraves were shit, even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however. The propaganda bunker. I used to, but not anymore.
Propaganda bunker?
They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys. A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. I do. They're good. Plenty of tar. I like that boy on the pack, too. Reminds me of the last century.
The old man looks across the water, at the city, the ruins, the motorways rising above it.
You're with the RCM, the coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol, the so-called Lieutenant W. Freighter, rock and roll posturing. You're the RCM. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, le Parti Communiste Insolente. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldoze them all to a mass grave for trying to free humanity.
A spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit.
No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army. Trained in historical materialism, then assigned as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something.
The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his legs.
His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control and follows the ideology of the Commune.
Scientific communism. A commissaire politique is a night philosopher of the revolution, a future human.
Awakened from shutdown by the promise of ideology, he was like a cleric, a shepherd.
No, the opposite of that.
He nods slowly, then another tremor.
No, you're not.
You should engage him about inframaterialism. Impress him with all the ideas you picked up from the reading group.
All the real communists are dead. They died fighting for communism. Are you dead? No. You're an inert lumpen with a gun.
Detective, we have not come here to discuss ideology. We have come to ask questions regarding a murder investigation.
The old man spits into the fire pit.
There's nothing serious in this world. I've used it for killing people.
Killing people?
It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property. I haven't done that. I've used it to kill people.
Interesting. During or after the war?
There is no after the war. Class war is never over.
So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay, this is it. You can feel it, like battery acid on the tip of your tongue. This is what you live for. This is the shit, the solution. Go in straight. No. Be careful now. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal.
The who now?
He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it. You're in.
Oh, yes. That one. Ugly piece of work, that boy.
Did you kill him?
I am a son of a welder and an officer of the Commune of Revachol. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime.
A drop of blood in the saliva. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it all on him. Get a confession. The gun. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? There was something you can't remember.
I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascies. Did you like the view?
You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession. You have been here a long time, Mr. Droz. Too long. You need medical aid.
I'm ready to die.
He's practically admitting to it. Dead fascies, for fascists, done his part.
You're sad for your fascia brother, aren't you? One twig got broken. Now the others are sad.
Almost. He almost burst out there. Keep piling arguments. Anything.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun. Not like your little musketeer pistol. I've seen you prance around with that. Jumping hoops for the liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons? Going against automatic rifles with these toy guns. Of course you got those boys killed.
Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. So he saw you. Okay. So what? Don't let it divert you.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it? 4.46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. We have it. This is it. Good. This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
Murder.
This pushed him, but not enough. Just a little more.
Stupid dwat.
The lieutenant looks... Not this, he seems to say. Anything but this.
Intuition is an aberrant psychologism. It reeks of crypto-fascism. The parasite class use intuition to justify their rank in life. It's all just palmistry and magic, Earl creatures. Your brain is rotting from the radio waves.
He does not answer the provocation. Yeah, this just it, but still. Somehow you knew it was a communist. Perhaps you suspected it before you took the case. Was it supposed to? The inland sea is dark, vast, and on the surface, meaningless.
Standing there, slack-jawed.
Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. They're revolutionary symbols from the war. Nowhere else, nowhere in all of Martinaise have you seen them this spring. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind. You got it. Remember? The boot prints were...
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are?
Show me the soles, please, Mr. Droz.
Fucking imbecile.
The maker is Sensorique. The model is Corbeil, and the size is 43.
The size fits, but not the sole.
Simpler? No. The lieutenant read. What are you doing? Not now. Stop yourself.
People change shoes, detective. What were you doing? Some kind of reconnaissance? Preparing the scene? Listening in on her?
Trying to rack your brains. You're desperate to report something back to your masters. They must have really loved that dead fuck.
The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance. You've almost got him. Just the last little.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them.
He seems tender suddenly. Nostalgic even. A strange mood swing.
So many this year, too. The spring is coming. They blossom on the islets before we fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May, before they ruined it. The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may. Classier.
He repeats the name with care, as if it were at risk of breaking.
With the victim.
There is a small tremble, looks like a smile, a crooked smile, yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer, armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer, dripping with blood, beating us to the ground, moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
The lieutenant raises his right arm. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling, while the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her. Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own, and so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
Yes.
And you were looking at them, the victim and a young woman, having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from. You can coax it out of him. The lieutenant...
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
I'm always looking.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
And if you don't like it?
Click.
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
Start with when he first saw him.
3 weeks ago.
Joyce. He means Joyce.
Wrinkled up whore. Yes, old-fashioned. They moved into a deserted apartment above the roundabout. Radio equipment out for all to see. Reactionary radio playing, sloppy and drunk. I've seen their kind during the landing. Those Occidental and Mesk phalangs weren't conscripts. Boys like us. They were whites. All they know is to destroy and hurt. Barely alive. They like to kill while they're on their drugs. After the landing, in the burning years, I would take shots at them. End them. The worst ones, if I had a bullet to spare. I could see they've returned now to show their real face. The face they don't dare show their bourgeois voters back on Mundi with their families and polyester clothes. Them fucking. I didn't like that. Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore. And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
He wants to see her covered in blood. To punish her.
She practically breastfed that man. You wouldn't believe the things she let him do to her.
You stare at them too. In your mind, her innocence day still turns to leaf, airport bag in hand. silks flowing in her wake. See you tomorrow, Harry. Her voice rings in the evening air.
True. There is something bourgeois about women. The weak are more vulnerable to exploitation by capital, unless they rise up in arms, which the likes of her, twisted by psychopharmaceuticals, alcohol, and the class interests of the bourgeoisie, they all are women nowadays. Since she came to Martinez, I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Feld building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have a skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Feld building on the coast? What was she doing there?
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me. Her passport and tickets to Villiers. After she was gone.
Did you keep what was in it?
No. Why would I do that? I didn't need tickets to Villiers. I put them back.
This implies that he's thought about extorting her.
Why would I need that trash?
A strange confusion comes over him from time to time. Some kind of aberration of the nervous system.
I did. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too. A spook, on the run. Revachol's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
You could tell she was a spook from the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio. I'm not blind, am I?
It quickly comes to you.
Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife. Masturbating.
Did you make that hole?
With a clip point knife.
Good for listening in, too. For hearing the moaning and the snorts.
Like that, too? Yes. Bending like a bow against the glass. I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny. Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s. When they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
Andy found use for it. A spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union Box window.
There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough.
The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know. Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something. No, I don't really know. I was the day after I killed him. Yes, I don't know why I do the things I do, and
Neither does he. He lowers his head. In the silence, the lieutenant drew one more down.
her.
The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement. That's it. Motive. We have it.
Where is she, that Clazier? I haven't seen her there for days. Locked up with your masters, like I'll be. Maybe we'll meet. She kept staring into the scope, you know. In the end, like she knew. Staring at the island, the fort, like she knew I was here. It doesn't matter.
Across the water, on a dilapidated jetty in a nameless village, made of grey cinder block houses with Eternite roofs, 2 police officers and 1 special consultant look across a narrow strip of sea. He's there, doing what exactly, I don't know. Satellite Officer Vic Mayer points at the ruins. Behind that anti-aircraft something. That's why we can't see him. Special Consultant Heidelstam is optimistic. We'll see the boat when he comes. Let's go get a coffee until then. I know this interesting little place. Where? His voice trails off as the 3 walk down the jetty. As the men go, Patrol Officer Minnow looks back over her shoulder at the crumbling fortification like a rotten tooth rising out of the water. Good luck, Harry, she thinks. You need something good for this.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
You could get more out of him. He likes talking.
I tragic comedy.
A strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back.
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house, stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst. Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world. Listening to race-themed radio shows. In the ruins, in their lorries, pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it. Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class. Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruin. In tents, like animals. Like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs. The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cock parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Quayamoran, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt, Frisell, is now dead. We did good when we pushed him under that horse car. If only, in the 30s, those disco whores.
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter.
Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat. Placating the masses.
Disappointment. So personal. He displayed...
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation.
Edgar.
He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent the smart one to some university in Le Jardin, where it's alienation this and hegemony that.
He's been sweet-talked by this Edgar. They must have met in person for such animosity to have developed.
You can't live alone.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Of course. Maybe the Clears asked him. Don't go straight for the kill. Exhaust everything else first. Soften him up.
I haven't approached anyone. I hid. It was Edgar who came to me.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains. Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left, wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things. 20 years ago, neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
That's around the time the Clears came to power.
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzov. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzov. Oh, and charity too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought. Let me be here. The ZOC is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this.
They let him be here. Understanding was a courtesy.
You know why I killed that fucker, Duat. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Okay, he didn't do the hanged man for them, but he's insinuating something.
Horse.
The connection comes to you like a splash of cold water. Dark, cold water.
Hey.
He acknowledges it. Here we go. A twist behind the dark bend.
That bourgeois cow. Tiffin Holly was her name. Licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labor leader so hot on mutual cooperation. And money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder and a deal maker. She was. And she was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muskova bag over her shoulder that she liked to bring to work. Called in, they say, on the eve of battle. Ran away. Vanished like a piss stain.
No, that's not quite it, is it?
Did she? They say her daughter called in, not her personally. But that wasn't really her daughter, was it?
No, I guess it was not. She couldn't make the call herself.
Here it is, the bend in the river.
Because she was dead. The cow caught a bullet in her right lung. Fell into the canal grasping her tit and drowned. Or bled? Hard to say. It was a sloppy job. And a moving target. She was going home. Waddling. Dressed in yellow. Drunk like she often was. The ruins are black around her, and she had a yellow leather bag under her arm. She tried to cross the canal, heading home to Grand Couronne or Betancourt, someplace like that, where they build those new bâtiments for the people who flourish in the hell around her. And the ruins. It was someone shot her. Or maybe she just fell. I get these violent ideations. My memory is filled with holes, especially the 30s. All I know is nothing changed. Not in the material base, Not in the hegemony. There was no uprising. Just words. The Union fizzled, sogged. Nothing came of it. Nothing.
Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal. If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could walk. We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on assignment.
A degenerate worker state. Ghost shit. No, thank you. I'm Revacholian.
Come on, just a little. You're buddies.
I haven't lived and fought for 40 years to end up as a collaborationist. I've heard it on Channel 8, 40 AM, and Le Canal du Crime. Everyone is a blobber in this world. Everyone betrays everyone. They're all already locked up for betrayal. The best ones, the ones with heart, were slaughtered, trampled.
The same old freezing hatred. There is plenty here to work with once he's in custody, and the lieutenant knows it.
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June. Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A Patank maniac race traitor. I remember him. I remember him from La Noce. Not him personally, his make and model. There were tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the liberals came to their rescue. We missed one. That one.
There doesn't seem to be a single person under the pine today. Not even Gaston. Alone.
Fat and plump. Like a pheasant. Just begging to be popped off. Not yet. I like to look at him strut around, place the crosshair on his medals, right on his face, and just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bomb melt in my mouth.
save the treat for later?
He is a juicy bonbon, that one. A real treat for the black day. The blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think, no, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock, Rene. For the boys he killed. And then I look at him throw those balls, and I suddenly feel better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one for him.
Hearing it may destabilize him. You sure you've gotten everything from him?
Huh. Yes, of course. I hope it hurts like hell. I hope he sweats blood. Must be torture. Not to be throwing his balls for a whole week.
He seems relieved. Could he have been worried for? He reminds him of himself. The same hatred. The same. You try to think of another thing, but no. It's just the hatred. They are veterans of the same war. Somewhere west in Coal City, his enemy is lying in a dark room on a metal slider. In Loser Municipal, like he will too. Soon. Half of the war between these men is over. With an agitated gait, Satellite Officer Jean Heron Vichmer paces the jetty, 22 kilometers east in Martinez. What could he possibly be doing there for so long, he says. Police work? Patrol Officer Judith
Yes, where is he?
Oh my God. He's even worried for him.
Yes, of course.
He was worried for him. He reminds him of it. They are with an police work?
Glad? It's all gone.
What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. For a man who's spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild, indeed, he speaks fluidly. His movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, it's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads, as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. Great leaps of emotion, from anger to grief, despair. You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile. Perhaps, but his seems more than that. The inner turmoil takes unexpected turns, as if forced on him in a way. In summary, you sense some underlying neurological disorder.
No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm surrounded by insane people.
There it is again. Erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing too, of course.
What? But you said I would be taken to the...
This terror is the sum of all the uncontrollable movements and mood swings he's been exhibiting.
Your Wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? Do you?
But... No, I don't want to.
He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead.
Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now on to the boat.
There it is again. To your north, as it has been since you came to the coast. The reeds whisper, stalks rubbing against each other. But then, in the middle of it, something completely different. It sounds like a bow, very slowly being drawn against the strings of a violin. A very small violin, made of reeds and rushes.
Maybe there is room for 3 on the boat. What?
What are you talking about? Is this...
A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfolds from the reeds, limb by limb, to then just stand there, moving its scythe-like arms in ghostly silence. It's still there, an unfolding mechanism of reed-like chitin, hovering in place.
What are you talking about? There's nothing there.
The stick insect is over 3 meters tall. It looks straight at you with its tiny pinprick eyes and its grotesquely small head. You feel your legs shaking under you and your gun hand rise instinctively.
Tell me what you see, damn it.
I can see it.
4 simple words, thank God. If he can, but that means it's really there.
Be very, very careful.
The creature stands on long stilt. The segmented antennae move, reed-like tufts stick out of its joints. As the insect moves its forearms, it produces a faint hiss, like a reel-to-reel machine spinning after the tape breaks. The hiss is different from the strings you heard before. It says something else in a lower pitch. You barely get to take 1 step. The invertebrate reacts with uncanny speed, skating away across the water. It's gone, like a skipping stone, leaving nothing but rings on the sea's calm mirror. It's blending into the tufts of reeds in the...
Where? Where did it go? I don't think it had anything to do with the Osprey.
There is uncertainty in his phrasing.
Am I? I don't know. I'm not an entomologist. Neither was the parascientist. The only thing I'm sure of is we saw it. It was real. Looks like he doesn't like to stay out in the open for long.
He shakes his head in silence.
It's just a blur. It appears the insect can walk on water, like a...
What now?
In some kind of strange, semi-catatonic state.
Our suspect's not looking so good. We should check him over. Oh, it looks like it has some kind of nest there. Maybe
In the reed. Brother, you've managed to collect all the armor pieces. Too bad it's too late for the big showdown. Indeed, you found it all. Now your mortal coil is completely protected. Few cops are this futuristic. This passport, issued by the Sovereign Republic of Oranje, is issued to a black-haired woman called Katarzyna Alazie.
Classia's hidden documents. From the MT boy.
It's Klasia, with short black hair and glasses. She looks boyish, younger somehow. An old photo, before life came and did what it does.
Maybe our man, Mr. Dross, took it from Classia's, or whatever her name was. Hiding place, or... Perhaps, but that still doesn't explain how it got into the nest. Like a magpie? What a coincidence. Then it would also have collected the other objects, which would be highly unusual.
By now, the lieutenant has accepted your unusual methods.
I can see how the helmet could wash up on the island. And the scope. Maybe Mr. Dross lost it. But to seek this out would be very unusual behavior for an arthropod.
Would it? Maybe it was simply curious.
An octopus belongs to a very different class. It's not even an insect. She said it would be for Anouk Meyer-Smith. Anouk Meyer-Smith. Yes, somehow she managed to lie to us. One more time. In a way, she's still lying to us right now. I don't know, but it was not Katarzyna Alazie or Anouk Meyer-Smith or...
What is it?
Something is very wrong.
Mr. Dross?
The man does not respond with fear and longing. The plastic cake.
He's going into some kind of psychomotor immobility. The good news is, this solves our transportation problem. Doesn't it, Mr. Dross?
The trembling mouth.
Between this and the broken tire he's used for a boat, I think it...
He stares into the reeds. Nothing.
If Kuno...
No reaction. This isn't.
Did you take this passport and other papers?
There.
He hears us.
No reply.
Try something else?
I lost.
He turns his up.
He lost the scope. Then it somehow made its way over there. This site is a T9, Mr. Dross.
Silence. You've gotten all the plastic. The blacks of his eyes are
Old age and shock. Yes, the arrest...
quite a few things about that health check you did on him make sense now.
That could be part of the shock. But you're right, something is...
No response.
Then how did we see it? Oh, you mean, whatever does this, does it over time? Teenagers, kids, drunks? The doctors will have to look at this. I hope your station has better medical... He was energetic and articulate. After all these years alone, with little hygiene, it does not seem to be animated. I mean, why not? He did seem distressed when it finally came to arresting him. I have absolutely forgotten to take notes. I hope we should think about getting back to the mainland. To